and welcome to the I Eat Lunch edition of At the Table. This is your host, Kelly Lincolns, speaking to you once again from my favorite spot while broadcasting while working, and that's Starbucks at East 87th and Lexington Avenue here in New York City. And it's a nice, crisp fall day in the city. Not a whole lot of, excitement here on 87th and Lex because we're too far uptown for all the protests. Even Donald Trump was surprised and dismayed at his election. If you've looked at pictures of him, he's not a happy camper right now, and apparently he's been asking people how much time he can spend back here in New York at home in Trump Tower. I guess he doesn't realize he's going to become a full-time resident of Washington, D.C. People are wondering as to whether or not he's going to actually last at least half a year. Dear God, considering what's worse, which is Mike Pence, I really sort of hope that he tries to stick it out. Somehow I doubt it. I always love sitting here in Starbucks and doing the show because people... turn the ducking off. There we go. Otherwise, I will keep fading in and out because of the other noises. They sort of look at me when I start talking because they think I'm talking to myself even though they can see the microphone. But did you know that people who talk to themselves, we're not crazy, we're actually geniuses? That's correct. We're crazy only if we argue with ourselves and lose. So, my week. Harder than chewing. Last Sunday I went out and canvassed Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, on behalf of Hillary Clinton and Katie McGinty, who was running to unseat Pat Toomey. I then on Tuesday worked at the polls as somebody who was helping people, explaining how the scanners work, troubleshooting the scanners, watching over the scanners, or wherever else they needed me, helping being an accessibility assistant, giving people their ballots. It was just a lot of fun. Had some awesome people. The morning rush from the time the polls opened at 6 till around 9 o'clock, it was absolutely crazy. And then it sort of slacked off from there. Also, since the polling place I was at, which is also my polling place, is in a high school, the PTA decided to hold a fundraising bake sale, and they did really well. I mean, they sold coffee and juice drinks and cookies and popcorn and candy and all sorts of good stuff. And they did really well. They did really, really good. Talked to them. The parents were great people. But I spent 15 hours at the polls, and I was exhausted by the end of the day. And I'm disappointed. Like I said, I think Trump is just as shocked as everybody else that he is now president-elect. And until the Electoral College casts their votes, he is still president-elect. And according to NBCNews.com this morning, the state of Maryland has told their electoral people that go ahead and vote for the person who won the popular vote, which means if they so desire, they can cast their votes for Hillary Clinton. It's not a done deal until the Electoral College votes. And if there's more insurrection within the Electoral College, it could be very interesting. It could be very, very interesting to see how that goes. I don't know what else to say about that, although the look on Trump's face when he won brought me in mind of the movie from this 1972 film, political comic satire called The Candidate, and it stars Robert Redford as a no-name Democrat whose father is governor of the state of California, And he is chosen to run against the incumbent Republican. And he's totally inexperienced, has no idea as to what he's doing. And they groom him and just say, don't worry about it. As he goes along and makes more and more stump speeches, they become more and more generic and generalizations, and nothing is really said. I think you're getting the idea. And then the elections happen, and the election results come in. And much to everybody's shock, the Robert Redford character is elected senator. The last words of that movie are, Marvin, what do we do now? And that is exactly what's the look on Trump's face. What do we do now? So it's going to be interesting. My feeling is, go ahead, protest. Remember, this is theater. We are living through theater, Well, it said God writes lousy theater. We can sure make it as awesome as we can. Keeping it peaceful. In Seattle, for example, protesters were trying to protect property against the anarchists that were bent on destroying it. The police told all the peaceful protesters to leave the area to go back down to a specific area so they could arrest the troublemakers. And by doing that, they avoided, the whole-scale chaos that the anarchists were hoping for. That's how you do it. It's the same thing here. We've got people exercising their First Amendment right to assemble and protest peacefully. Like I said, I'm in a public space right now, so you're getting a whole bunch of awesome background noise. And, wow, 7 minutes into this thing and I'm already running out of things to say, but you already know that I have very little to say on these sort of things. But one of the things about Tuesday is that I spoke to a lot of people that this was their first time voting, including a lot of young people that just for the first time ever registered to vote. One fellow came in, and the last time he voted was in 1996. Now, I think that's kind of sad. It's his right. But but on top of that, only 54% of the American population registered to vote bothered to show up at the polls. 46% of America did not show up at the polls. So I'd like to thank those 46% for giving us the king of cons. For giving, we're not, this is not the first time we've had a media celebrity as president. Ronald Reagan. But Ronald Reagan had a bigger clue because at least he had, been governor of the state. Trump, not so much. And say don't despair, folks, because humor, tyrants, despots, narcissists can't stand being made fun of, and that's how we pull his teeth. We make fun of him at every chance we get. There's a reason why some friends of mine coined the name Trumple Thin-Skin about him. Donald Thin-Skin Trump. Works for me. And I'm going to move myself around here. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm into sort of this thing where I can play a little music. Let's see what we got here that I can actually play here. Get that. So, one of the things, has been a really, outside of the election, it's been a really sucky 2016. Earlier this week, we've been losing a lot of important people. David Bowie, and most recently, Leonard Cohen, and we lost his beautiful voice. If I had some Leonard Cohen to play for you, I would. But it's sad. We're losing a lot of voice. It's like this year is chalking it up to be a sad, brutal year for everybody. And got Michael Jackson playing in the background. So where do we go from here? That is the question. She says as she chows down on them. I really can't do this today. I really can't. So, I'm going to play this. This is for Reed Zakaria. He called it.
So what message does it send when the presidential nominee of the party needs to come back, clarify his remarks on such a sensitive and volatile issue?
Well, there's a pattern here, Wolf. That every time it is demonstrated that Donald Trump is plainly ignorant about some basic public policy issue, some well-known fact, he comes back with a certain bravado and tries to explain it away with a tweet or a statement. I mean, he did it on Brexit. He did it on the nuclear triad. He did it really on how U.S. debt markets work. He thought that Tim Kaine was the governor of New Jersey, and now with this. And it's sort of amusing to watch how is he going to pull it off this time. What is he going to argue? Usually he adds that the press hates him. But there's a term for this kind of thing. This is the mode of a bullshit artist. And, it's sometimes amusing, it's entertaining if the guy is trying to sell you a condo or a car. But for a president of the United States, it's deeply worrying.
Is there
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is your host, Kelly Lincoln, saying, laughter cannot stand. Well, let me repeat that. Let me reverse that. Fear cannot stand the sound of laughter. Keep laughing. Thank you for listening to At the Table.
Dog.